Okay, almost ready. We're not starting for another 10 minutes, so I can barely hear myself all of a sudden. Yeah, we're going to start in about 10 minutes time. So I'm just getting everything ready, and we'll probably have some casual dialogue before that begins. And yes, it's chill music from Final Fantasy and Chill. I'll link his channel actually in the comments because they've got a great channel. I use their music all the time, with their blessing, of course. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. Doing a quick pre-stream, Muroshi style. I'm also a half hour early as well. I just wanted to start really. I was just like, you know what, I'm a bit hyped up. Let's go. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to actually a restful weekend. It's a long weekend for us, so hopefully that goes well. But I hope everybody else is getting through their Fridays as efficiently as possible. Okay. I actually don't want to be here for the next few minutes, so let's go somewhere else just for the time being. I want to go... Yeah, let's check out Limsa. Let's see what Limsa's up to. Limsa is usually a cacophony of all sorts of activity, depending on which server you're on, of course. I know NA servers tend to have less activity in Limsa and probably more activity in Ul'dah. Again, depending on the server. But it's mainly our hive of activity is always Limsa. Not much going on. Typical stuff. You tend to see stuff on Friday as well. People will start spamming. They're like, we've got a concert on, we've got a performance, we've got a roleplay event. It all starts on Fridays. Making egg fried rice. I really need to learn how to make egg fried rice because I do really enjoy egg fried rice, but I have no idea how to make it. I know it sounds simple, but I know there's a lot more to it than that. I really want to learn that. I'll have to ask my wife to teach me how to do that. It's just pretty quiet at the moment. Sad face. And yeah, you can tell I'm just getting warmed up now. I'm just like, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, that sort of stuff. I actually did redesign my glamour though. I'm finally at a place where I'm happy with my caster glamour. Because when I was a main dancer, this is my glamour. Kind of like a beginner adventurer or just a casual adventurer look. And I still wear it. It's really nice. But casters can't wear that chest piece, so I decided on this one. Especially with the shoulder pads. I really love the armored shoulder pads. And the design on the back. Which tends to really fluctuate. Like it tends to look like you're looking at it through extreme heat or something. But either way. Let's see, where is everybody? Okay. It's Caster Blaster. With Mommy's staff, of course. She gave me this staff. I will rock this staff because she gave me that staff. Although, to be truthful, I haven't worn it until 2 days ago, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Let's see what's going on in Ul'dah. I usually prefer hanging out in Ul'dah. Although during the winter months, especially when I'm in a Christmas mood, I will hang out in Ishgard. Because I usually love my snow. I'm a big fan of snow. Do you ever notice that every blue mage, they always go for the blue look? It's just, they just resonate towards it. Like, I'm a blue mage, I'm going to look like a blue mage. Where black mages couldn't be any further from the truth. Like, look at my black mage, it's blue. Although I've seen red mages do the same thing. So I think it's just the black mages. Although I am looking forward to the day when we can double dye stuff like this. Like, because right now I can only dye the blue aspects. But being able to dye, for example, like the white. I'd prefer to dye it in like the grey colour of my helm. So the moment I can do that, I will be a very, very, very happy camper. Although this chest piece is quite old, so I don't know if we're actually going to get that right away. Although I think they did say that dye is open for everything right away. It's mainly the graphical changes that don't reflect on everything right away. This is my favorite, one of my favorite soundtracks in Final Fantasy, the Gaza music. I listen to it out for hours on end whenever I'm in work, and it's probably one of the most relaxing things I ever listen to. Not this one in particular, I do like this one, but I listen to a half-slowed version of Gaza at work. My red mage is wearing red and the hat. Exactly. See, everybody it's just part of our DNA. We just resonate towards the color, because we're called the color. I mean, I don't have a choice. I can't dye my onion helm, nor would I want to. So my glamours have to follow my onion helm. That said, I wonder if we'd finally get the ability to dye it. I highly doubt it. But yeah, I think it's perfect just as is. I'll be interested to see how the graphical changes do affect the onion helm though. But I would imagine, with the way they said they're doing graphical changes, my onion helm will probably be one of the last items they get to, because it is a exclusive item and it's also a transfer from 1.0. So I would be sad, but still, I wouldn't have to wait too long. My red mage is a discount Gaia look, Eden gown stuff. I love it though. See, I like the sound of that. Gaia has a very unique style, despite the fact that it's being mostly black, but they do it perfectly right. So I'm a big fan of Gaia's glamour, and I'm sure I'm going to see more than a few Gaia cosplays at Fanfest. I know at least one guy who's going to be dressing as Gaia, so yeah, we're going to see LT dressing up as that. I can't wait to see that. In case you're wondering, he's doing it for charity actually, so he's dressing up as Gaia. I just hope he comes to my photo shoot, because I'd like to get some pictures of that for posterity. The Blushing Paw Club. Chaos DC Omega. Okay. We have joined forces with the most patriotic venues. What the hell is Crouplers? Crouplers. Let me have a look at that. Why did that do that? What is Crouplers? Crouplers. A person in charge of a gaming table, responsible for gathering in and paying out money or tokens. Oh, so like the dealer at a blackjack table. Okay. I don't gamble. I guess that's why I don't know what that means. And musicians. Nice wordplay. We could assemble. To celebrate a party you certainly won't forget, we offer a live band, 10 amazing 10 DJs. There's DJs everywhere these days. That's actually, if I recall correctly, Gaia's her outfit from the Mog Station, people quickly made a free version of it, and the free version looked better. Am I recalling that correctly? Because I did remember people saying that they were able to make their own Gaia, and they actually preferred it to the shop Gaia. I don't know why I remember that. I think that was a thing when it first came out. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different Mog Station item altogether. Yeah, we're almost ready to get started. I have nothing really else to talk about other than the subjects I want to cover. But yeah, I've been in a bit of a mood today, primarily because we did get the announcement of the Glamour pre-orders, which I was very excited about, as was every other member of the Fed EU, until we got to the t-shirts and the hoodie. And then we quickly realized we got a very limited selection, aka one t-shirt, one hoodie, and the design was lackluster. So everybody spent the day fuming about that. Although I have been hearing over the last few minutes, a lot of people who in North America who've been waking up have been pretty jealous of the other items in our selection, in particular the Vana and the Emmet Selk and the Hythlodeus statues. So a lot of people want them, and a lot of people have a good opinion about the rest of the merchandise as well, but just not particularly me. I think we don't have nothing like a Gaia outfit in the Mog Station. I think I'm probably thinking of something different though. I'm thinking of some particular item that was exclusive to the Mog Station, however people made a free version of it that actually looked better. I'm not really sure. I'll have to think about that actually. But we're dawning on the time now. I should teleport to my location where I'm going to start this stream off. Well, I haven't seen that hat in a while. Although it is a sprout wearing it, so that's understandable. Alright, Mount Roulette. Who am I going to get? Ah, my Spriggan, of course. Okay. I'll go up here because those waterfalls are obnoxiously loud. Then again, I'd be annoyed if the waterfalls weren't loud. Let's see. Notes. Good. I still don't own any 14 merch. Feel weird, man. Don't, to be honest. I rarely buy merchandise from the online store. I mainly buy them from the Fanfest venues themselves, which is likely what I'm going to do this time around as well. The only thing I have bought recently was Volume 3 of the Encyclopedia, because it's not going to be at Fanfest. Okay, where's my notes? I'm having trouble hearing myself. I think it's primarily because of the way I have my headset. Here we go. Okay, so once again, a very happy Friday to everybody. Welcome to my Friday stream, my usual stream that follows up one of my main video uploads. If you haven't tuned into one of my streams before, this is pretty much where I do my discussion topics, my theory topics, and I also break down the last video that I uploaded. In this case, it is my video on the early life of Xenos Viator Galvus. Now I've got my notes here, let me just break that down. And I'll open up my video as well, just so I have it there. Okay. Video. Main stories. There we go. Okay. So, this video is, per the title, the early life of Xenos FF14 lore. And it explored the full life of Xenos Viator Galvus from the moment of birth until our first meeting with him in Ralger's Reach, right over there when he knocked us on our ass. It only feels like a few years ago, but it was actually a long time ago. The video is probably a bit late. I thought that myself. I actually wanted to make this video long ago, but I really wanted to wait because we have seen Xenos pop up again before, and I wasn't going to discount the possibility, remote as it was, that Xenos was going to pop up again. So I wanted to wait for a bit and see if he would pop up again. Now the other reason for that is because when I was making this video and I scripted it out, this video actually began, its genesis was the full life of Xenos. So from the moment of birth until the moment of death. However, when I scripted it all out, I had to do a lot of innovation when it came to the script of scripting out his early life, because none of that is shown in game. So a lot of work went into that aspect, and then when I got to the moment we met him in Ralger's Reach all the way until his death in Endwalker, that portion of his life was already fully spelled out in game, and I didn't really feel it, because it felt like two different videos that were joined together, because the first part of his early life I had to do such a good amount of innovation in order to make it work, and the rest of it was just cutscenes, and it's the story we've all heard before. So I literally just went, you know what, I'm not going to do that, and the video ended up being a half hour anyway. So I decided to rescript it completely again and focus only on his early life, and I'm happy I did, because it was a half hour long and it allowed me to entirely focus on the subject of his early life, and then allowed me to innovate in a lot of creative ways as well. He's super gone. Yeah, at this point we can all agree he's super gone. Xenos is a good example of why multimedia lore is problematic. Things that you could read in physical media remain unaddressed in game, but maybe it doesn't bother others. Yeah, so prime example is the story of Xenos' early life is a story exclusive to the Chronicles of Light book. which contains a lot of the stuff that's already on the lodestone, the short stories that are there, but it contains a couple of short stories that are only in the book itself, specifically Xenos' early life and when he went to Doma and where he met Yotsuyu. And those were the two main subjects of this video itself. Now, I knew this video was going to challenge me, and it definitely did, and I'm glad it worked out. Primarily because I had to script this in a way where all the scenes that I was showing had nothing to do with his childhood, so I had to try and make it look as good as possible in order to try and spell out his life in a proper way. So I had to take a lot of screenshots in order to actually make this work. I'd argue that Xenos' backstory doesn't change anything about how he interacts with our story. It doesn't really, but it does explain the motivations. Like, it explains how he became so fixated on the hunt. And that was something I was very interested in. Like, the fact that it took him getting his ass beat time and time again, and his hunt for knowledge, his hunt for the ability to outwit and defeat his foe. That hunt is what started everything, essentially. And yeah, it also explained why he was able to manipulate Aether with his sword revolver, aka the rotary electro scabbard. Asking why Xenos is the way he is interesting, but not necessarily to know for our battles with him. No, not necessarily, but it is good to get more insight into such an iconic character as Xenos. Like, learning about his early life is something that is good. Like, particularly now that we've seen his final end, it's good to learn about his beginning. And I had a lot of fun actually learning about his beginning as well. The particular ways I innovated in this video, though, was with the spelling out of the two battles that actually take place. So if I mute the music for a second, and we'll start up this video here. So his request. Bang! Different tutor, he thought, for the same old lesson. So I had to take advantage of a lot of different movement mechanics. So this is stuff that I'd never really shined on before. Like, usually I'd make the background move, but this time I had to make the characters move around. So I cut out the characters and I decided to make them move around. Similar to other videos I've seen in the past from highly ambitious and great creators like Terminal Montage, for example. You see the characters not move around. But I wanted to try and delve into that for myself. But the other part, the main thing for this video that I focused on was the sound effects. And a lot of people did notice the sound effects and weren't honestly expecting them. But when I was spelling out these scenes, it felt more right to actually give them sound effects because it made them just come alive a lot more. So, for example, you'd hear him. Hours have been told how to hold a blade and how to stand. You hear the footsteps in the background. As Xenos reached out, before he could grasp the hilt, bang! Xenos found himself face down. So, this is one thing that I really enjoy doing, and it's something I plan to do in every other video I actually plan to do. So, adding the sound effects just added to the atmosphere of the video, in my opinion, and it's something I really enjoy doing, and something I think is down my next logical step. What in the world? So he's on the ground. Confused about what just happened, he attempted to stand. In that moment, you can tell he felt the floor shift beneath him, and he fell once more. You can literally tell how inexperienced I am with doing stuff like this, because I literally just made the model flip over like that. But it worked mainly just to explain exactly what was happening. But it was something that I really, really enjoyed doing. Like, Xenos was more determined. Lessons in the training hall. You'd hear his pages. Xenos would spend much of his time in the Royal Library, a repository of all Garlean knowledge, and that gathered from other lands, subjugated or otherwise. For many nights he would study. But it's nice to see your video. I'm glad to see your growth as a content creator in real time. I appreciate that. Thank you. I really like how one-dimensional he is. He's a great contrast to the other villains of the story, and I love him for it. That's a good point as well. Like, Xenos is a very... You'd look at him and you instantly understand what he is. Like, we knew his motivations very early on. He's a person who enjoyed the hunt, and he would hunt anything to the ends of the earth in order to get his thrill, essentially. But it's that one-dimensional character that we, as you said, it's something that we loved him for. Like, he wasn't like, I'm going to destroy this so I can do that and then rule the galaxy and stuff like that. Like, his motivations were so simple. He wanted to meet a foe who would push him to his limits. And even if that foe defeated him, he'd be happy. He was a hunter looking for the ultimate prey. Like, that's such a simple plot, but it's so powerful at the same time. Because it instantly allowed us to lock onto him and just go, I understand him completely now. And I only met him.
Searching for any clue about the mission this time.
But yeah, I had to innovate a lot with the battle cutscene. This is probably one of the main things of the video. So the battle itself is where I had to innovate. So when I wrote the script for it, and I was like, okay, how the heck am I going to spell this out? And then finally it just went with me just going,
waiting for Xenos.
I need to add proper sound effects.
Arm yourself. The Corvosi ordered.
And I need to add pictures.
Taking a sword from the rack, Xenos stood ready to face him. Xenos watched him carefully. They stood 10 paces apart, well out of melee range for one another. But to Xenos, it didn't matter anymore. The Corvosi stared at Xenos, until suddenly, with a wave and a flash, Xenos unleashed an energy wave from his sword. The wave cut right past the Corvosi, who rushed to dodge it.
But yeah, this is another example of what I did. So I took a generic energy effect off Google and just cut it out. And then I used the sound effects from a samurai attacking a striking dummy in order to make the sound effects for the attacks. And that's something that just like, I was like, I'm having a lot of fun with this. So it was worthwhile in the end to get all this done.
Surprised, having his own ether, answered back. Them exchanging an unyielding blade is not for the likes of you to wield. The confrontation continued, with each of them exchanging attacks. The Corvosi used technique after technique, with each energy wave he unleashed being countered by Xenos with energy waves of his own.
But yeah, I can't stress enough how interesting it was to actually read this actual event itself. The entire battle between the two of them wasn't swords clashing together. That was the interesting part to me. It was literally them empowering their swords and throwing energy waves at each other. For the most part, he was throwing the most, and Xenos was just dodging them, and then finally said, I've had enough of you. And he finally just closed in and stabbed him. So I had to do stuff like that as well.
Of his own. Driven into a corner, the end result was Xenos plunging his aether-charged sword into the Corvosi's chest. When he fell to his knees, Xenos knelt down and whispered into his ear. The dead do not learn, they sleep. Is that not so?
I really tried to do a Xenos voice as much as I could. You can see Varus is in the background here. I had to cut him out essentially. And I actually had just Xenos stabbing his father at that point when I was just like, no, that's not going to work. So I just cut out half the picture and just put your man here. This is a Shashigumi from Kurgane standing in their barracks. So I just took a picture of a random person who looked like he was from the east with a samurai sword and just went with that. The thing I love most about this whole story is it kind of still doesn't really explain why Xenos is so driven. He just is from the start. But yeah, like imitating the characters was interesting for me as well. The second part of the video as well, I really had to hype up the sound of this is where I really hyped up the sound effects. So
much to our exasperation,
the crackling, for example,
been physically in the room
in the background,
but Xenos found no interest in any of his distractions.
From our FC house,
least of all Yotsu.
It's very subtle. I wanted to make it as
at one point
possible.
The deputy vice, much to our exasperation. Will this man ever get drunk? she annoyedly said to
And then
herself.
the transition into the rain effects.
A storm was brewing outside. As Xenos looked out the window,
This rain
he
effect
finally spoke of his
was
own
me
accord.
inside my apartment building.
What manner of place
And I
is this?
turned the orchestron
Doma?
on and just made it play.
As she
rain effects.
agonized about the proper answer to give, as well as the true answer she carried in the pit of her stomach, Xenos met her gaze for the first time. I am weary of empty chatter.
But the main effect in this entire cutscene, the entire thing in the tavern that night, the rain in the background, which is a constant, but also the thunder effects, which I managed to download, and I cut them up and I edited them slightly. So I played thunder at random times. Well, not random times, at specific times to just kind of hype up the overall experience itself. And I think it really added to it. Like, it's the thunder actually started getting louder and louder before the point that the window actually burst open.
And
the
speak her
assassins
mind
ran
about her true feelings and became useful. The Xenos finally rose to his side. The main reason for still being farmer to himself. And was approaching. Waiting on the storm to cover their approach.
So
he
it gets
murmured
its
to
loudest
himself.
here.
At that moment,
Then.
the windows of the room smashed, and several dark figures rushed through. With weapons drawn, they surrounded Xenos.
Like, it looks almost very just like noobish, but then again it is, because I've never actually done anything like this before. But I think that adds to the charm of it, in my opinion, because it's very basic, and that's all I wanted. I wanted a basic method of actually telling the story through my words, but also I wanted something for the viewer to lock onto, because you need some sort of visual aspect for them to lock onto, and then the sound effects just add to it as well. So this gives a basic picture of what's happening. You have 4 assassins burst through into the tavern, Xenos in the middle, they surround him, and there you go.
Yotsuyu took cover in the corner of the room and observed. Assassins, she thought to herself, given their dark garb marked them as shinobi. But her gaze then settled on their swords and the way they carried them, which was definitively imperial. Xenos was surrounded on all sides. What's more, his gunblade was propped against a far wall and out of reach.
Just a random gunblade that I took off, and it's just like, I need to put something there. I was almost going to unarm him at one point, but I didn't really want to butcher the character, so I just decided to leave him like that. After watching Zeppela HQ, MTQ Capture, Arthur Savix, Asmongold, Mango, FF4 YouTube videos, YouTube's recommended me or stream. That's cool. I like that. I only recognize half those names, to be perfectly honest, but I'm assuming they're all FF14 content creators, with the exception of Asmon, who creates everything essentially. My dog is growling for some reason. But yeah, there's not really much else I need to go into regarding my video that I haven't already gone into. But I mainly just wanted to point out how I mainly got about actually doing it. I was stumped at this point here, just
lifeless to the floor.
What am I going to do with this part?
In the middle stood
it's just like
Xenos, holding one of the assassin's swords in hand. I had hoped this land on the brink of rebellion might offer some measure of sport.
I really like that. Alright. But yeah, the other main criteria for me for making this video is I wanted to be able to add something to it. So with every video I create, I won't create it unless I have something viable to add to it. So I don't want to make a video just going, all right, this is how it happens, start, middle, end. I don't want to do that without having something to contribute, because if I don't, you may as well just go in game and then just figure it out there. So with me, I had my own theories regarding what was happening in these particular events. Like, for example, the assassination attempt on Xenos, with the assassins wielding Garlean weapons and wielding them like their Garleans. Well, they were Garleans, just dressed as shinobi essentially. But I really wanted to add to that because it's not really explained in the book itself. It mainly just explains that these assassins showed up, but I think it was pretty clear by what was happening in Garlemald at the time with Solus on his way out that they were definitely sent by Titus or even Nerva in order to eliminate Xenos and weaken Varus's position, because the succession was actually well underway at this point because he was wasting away in his bed. I don't really understand Emmett's motivations for this, because he spent a lot of time working on Garlemald, building it up, making it what it is, and then he's like, alright, I'm tired, I'm vacating the throne, and then utter anarchy erupts afterwards. But this takes a cue from other empires in our world, like the Mongol Empire is a prime example. Like the Mongol Empire, when it was ruled by Genghis, was almost all-encompassing. But the moment he died, it was split up into like four different empires, or not even empires at that point, but it was split in four to be divided between his sons. So it just goes to show the greatest empires never survived those who actually spurred on their creation. And it happened with the Garlean Empire. The Garlean Empire was very young. So Solus was the one who transformed the Garlean. It wasn't really a republic at the time, but the Garlean people and the Garlean nation into an empire. And then the empire essentially falls into civil war the moment he died. But essentially, that's everything I wanted to cover in the video itself. Although the other part is I really wanted to go into the aspects of the Rotary Electro Scabbard, because from what I understood, a lot of people didn't really understand exactly how this weapon or this scabbard works. And I didn't fully either until I did the proper analysis. And the story of his early life actually explained a lot of things as well, like the method he used to manipulate Aether. And in the end, he came up with this, which is probably one of the most novel creations to ever come out of Garlemald, because it literally bridges the gap between them not being able to manipulate Aether and them being able to manipulate Aether. Although we have seen other individuals, for example, Gaius has the ability to create energy waves as well, but he uses ammunition in order to do that. But it was a good thing just to go through. I enjoyed going through the map. I will go into the map as well. But essentially, that's everything I wanted to cover regarding my video. So I guess now we'll get into the meat and potatoes of what this other parts of what this video was about, which was the Dawntrial expansion and Fanfest NA and everything that came with it. People are saying Paint Mage for some reason. A lot of people have been saying Paint Mage primarily because of the Turtles shirt. I'll get into that in a few minutes. But I suppose the best place to start this video now in regards to this subject is to watch the Dawntrial trailer again. So let me bring it up here, because it's important to watch it fully, and then we'll go through a few things.
Peggy 6.
Yeah, Peggy 16. Provisional, of course. Okay. All right, let's watch the trailer together.
Theme.
Blue seas, clear skies, and boundless possibilities. I dare say our destination will soon be in sight.
Enjoying yourself for a change?
Might you have a moment to speak further?
At last, we have come to the land you call the New World. My home. Put out.
A great trailer. I loved this trailer so much. But yeah, let's break down essentially what this expansion is going to mean. So, if you remember back in 6.1 with Newfound Adventure, where we all got hyped over just going, okay, we're on a blank slate now and we're going on a new adventure. We did go on a new adventure. I've said this a million times, but it ended up going back to we're saving the world all over again. And more than likely, that's going to end with 6.5, so that entire storyline is going to be wrapped up. And now, thank goodness, we're getting an entire expansion dedicated to a blank slate. This is a realm reborn all over again. It's us going to a new land and exploring and doing what we do best, which is be adventurers. So I'm really looking forward to this. And there's no high stakes this time. Like, there's no fate of the galaxy, fate of the world. There's no doom and destruction coming for us. Although we are deciding, apparently, the new rulers of the Bermuda people, which are the primary, well, they're the most populous race in the New World. So, there's a few things I have noticed about this trailer. I've only watched it a few times, but somebody did actually correctly point out on Twitter that the song itself is actually, it pays homage to our journey. So it starts off with taking wings in flight, or no, it starts off in A Realm Reborn, taking wings in flight in Heaven's Ward, going through the storm and Stormblood, something about the shadows in Shadowbringers, and then Endwalker. So the song itself is based on our entire journey from start to finish until we get to where we are. So if I find the post, I will do that in a second. But there's a number of things I wanted to point out here. It's nice to see Erenville here. The fact that he's taking a center stage in the trailer suggests that he's going to be taking a major role in this expansion, which is brilliant. But the main thing I want to focus on is our Warrior of Light, aka Meteor. So, well, you can't really see him here, but I suppose I'll go to the other cutscene first. So, you see us here. We're in the throne room. There is a blessed sibling with a very big headdress on. So, this suggests that he is either the king or somebody who is actually in direct competition to be the king itself. And then you have the sword, of course. But the main thing I want to focus on is over here. He doesn't have this scar in the beginning cutscene when he's sailing over. So, and we're assuming that this is actually the Warrior of Light, right? But I'm not 100% sold because we don't really get a proper look at his face. Like, we do see little glimpses, but we don't see his face fully. I mean, the armor he's wearing definitely looks like it. And then we can see him there, but it's just the fact that the scars are changing as well. Unless this is something very long after he first sails to Toral. But I just found that interesting, the fact that he had this pretty significant scar on his face. And then when you look at him at the end, he doesn't have that scar. He has this scar. And he looks very different than he did. He's got a lot of grey hair all of a sudden, so he's getting old. Aren't we all? But I just found that interesting, the fact that that cross scar is not there. But this individual itself is the interesting part, because this 90% sure that this is the new job that we're going to be getting. But we don't know exactly what this job is. Only the fact that they're wielding a very unique looking sword. So you can see the sword there. It's a very unique, it's very slender. Like, this is not like the paladin sword that he had before. it's just like, it's a very, very unique looking blade, but it looks like a blade that would be perfectly suited for casting energy waves as well. And my theory is still that he is going to be somebody who wields the arts of the unwielding blade. Or the unyielding blade, not unwielding, unyielding blade. Now, my main reason for that is a lot of people have been saying Sword Saint for the new job. If it was Sword Saint, I would say it's probably likely. Primarily because the unyielding blade was part of the toolkit of the original Sword Saint in Final Fantasy Tactics. That's what led me down the path of saying Sword Saint as well. But people have a lot of different ideas about what this new job is going to be. I think it's meatier in parts of the trailer. They just happen to be in different junctions in time. Yeah, that's the other thing. We should take this trailer as a grain of salt. It's a teaser trailer. So this trailer is heavily chopped. So there's so much about this trailer that's missing. Prime example, Kryl doesn't appear in this trailer, and speculation is that she's going to be playing a major role. We've seen Erenville, we've seen Graha, but I think the reason we haven't seen Kryl, and a lot of people have had this speculation, is that Kryl is going to be representing the new caster job that gets added to the game. So it would make sense that Kryl wasn't in this teaser trailer, primarily because it would give away what that new caster is going to be. But yeah, I'm reasonably certain that this is the Warrior of Light, aka Meteor. It's just, they're keeping his face very covered. So it's just interesting. I mean, he looks as he did in Endwalker. Same robe, same scruffy robe. Kind of. But you see him like this, like, when I was looking at the trailer, when I was looking at the entire fight choreography, I was like, okay, he's up against this guy who is definitely towering over him in size and has two very large blades. So he's like, alright, I'm going to march around you, see what the story is. I'm keeping my distance as much as I can. He's not really striking back at all. Look, he's only defending. So I have a feeling what he's going to do next is just go, alright, I'm not staying within range of you anymore because you definitely got the size advantage on me. However, I can cut you down from range. So he picks up the sword and just goes, energy wave. Start cutting the guy down. And I think that's what's going to be the reveal of what this job is going to be. Endwalker's trailing was very misleading. Shadowbringers was kind of curious too in the beginning, but otherwise showed what happened just before Warrior Light comes to the first. Very true. She's due an outfit change, so I really don't want her outfit to change. I love her outfit as it is. I would like a modification. I do love the ears though. I really love her outfit. I mean, I could see her getting an outfit change. Maybe on the outside, maybe on the outfit on the inside, but keep the jacket or modify the jacket. I mean, her outfit is pretty iconic to what she looks like, to be honest. But we have seen everybody else change, so Kryl could indeed get a different outfit as well. And, right, I suppose I should focus on the main plot of the actual expansion as we know it. So I should have some screenshots here of the actual... Give me a second. I had the Fanfest live letter stuff. Let me see. No, that's not it. Let me find it. Give me a second. Where did I find it? I thought I had it. Give me a second. I'll find it. No, I can't find it. Alright. So, let's go down to plot. So, they haven't really gone into much explanation about what the plot is, but they have given us hints about what's going on. So, from the looks of it, the Scions and the Warrior of Light have been invited to Dawntrial, aka the New World. The reason for our invite is because there's currently a rite of succession happening for control of the continent, or I should rather say control of all the Mamulja tribes on the continent, which essentially gives you control of the continent. Same way. It's called a right of succession, which is the interesting part. So, very quickly, let me read over the explanation of what the New World is, according to the Eorzean Encyclopedia. So, the final of Hydaelyn's 3 major landmasses lies far to the west of Eorzea, beyond the boundless ocean known as the Indigo Deep. Despite the dearth of ancient epics and historical tomes to support the land's existence, as recently as 80 years ago it was debated whether or not the place was not more than a literary exaggeration. That is, until a sea-wolf adventurer hailing from Limsa Laminsa, named Kateram, the Blue, rediscovered the region upon sailing west for nigh 2 moons straight. Notwithstanding the sailors' repeated attempts to name the region Kettenland, the New World, remains the term most commonly used today. I mean, that's very vain, naming the land after yourself, isn't it? Not only did Ketan Ram and his crew discover the landmass, but they also spent several moons exploring inland, eventually encountering the denizens of the sprawling nation of Mamulja. Ketan Ram was even granted audience with the nation's supreme leader, to whom he presented various gifts from his Eorzean home. These rare gifts impressed the leader so much that he presented him with a massive idol forged from pure silver, as well as allowance to roam free about his nation during their stay. Ketemram used this opportunity to not only map the land, but to gather myriad root vegetables and seeds to carry back to Limsa Laminsa. Many staples of modern-day Eorzean diet, such as ogre pumpkins, ruby tomatoes, papatos, and alligator pears, are all transplants from the New World. While distance prevents much modern-day interaction between the New World and Eorzea, recent years have seen an influx of Mamulja mercenaries making the trip from their homeland to make a profit from the unease in the east. So, that's the basic explanation of what the New World is, or what we knew about the New World until this point. So we knew that it was a continent, and the Mamulja were the dominant race on the continent itself. Now, the interesting thing is regarding the leadership. So, the leadership of the actual word as well is actually explained in this Mola Jajaz. It's not Jaja Binks, but it sounds like it, doesn't it? But let me read this guy's description first. He's the boss that we encounter in the Wanderer's Palace, hard mode. Both leader and second in command of the Silver Scales, Mola Jaja was born of an intertribal marriage, a union which occasionally results in 2-headed offspring. Known as blessed siblings, these individuals are groomed for leadership from birth. Indeed, Mola Jaja's purpose for crossing the seas to Eorzea was to win glory and strengthen his claim to the throne of the Outarch, ruler of all Mamulja. Upon arriving, however, he struggled to find employment for his warband, and in a bid to make his name in this foreign land, he took the drastic step of capturing a piece of it. So this is the main thing we need to focus on, and we've seen one of these characters in the trailer already. These characters are known as Blessed Siblings. They are Mamulja, but they are a result of a union between one type of Mamulja and the other. And you can tell plainly what one Mamulja looks like and what the other looks like. So one has the big horn, the other has kind of like the lizard-like eyes. So those are the two kinds of Mamulja. They're the same species, but different looks. Now, one of them being born is, it's known as somebody who's like, you're like a prodigy essentially, and you're groomed for leadership, which is why we saw one fighting in the trailer itself. So if that's not the king, or the Outarch as it's called over there. So if that wasn't the Outarch, it's definitely someone vying for the Outarch position. Now the main reason for that is because the leadership apparently of the New World's Mamulja, the Outarch, changes on a regular basis. So in order for it to properly change, there's a right of succession. So individuals will actually work to prove themselves in order to gain the throne over the Mamulja. And that guy was killed by us specifically, so we killed him, so he's not in the running for it anymore, luckily for us. He wasn't that strong anyway. I don't think he was going to get very far. But yeah, the main reason that the Scions are going over, or the main reason we're getting involved, is not fully clear. However, we are splitting into multiple teams in order to facilitate this right of succession for particular parties. Now, I have a feeling, knowing what we know now, that letter that's in the Baldessian Annex that we see Kryl and Grahatia utterly ignoring is from the New World. So I think it's a missive saying, a right of succession is about to happen. We would like you to get involved. So this entire mission could be actually at the behest of the Baldessian organization. So that could be the primary reason we're going. Like, we've nothing else to do. There's nothing to fight. There's nothing like world-altering, world-ending happening. So we get this letter as a result. So more than likely, this is from some faction of Mamulja in the New World saying, we know about the Warrior of Light, we know about the Scions, we want your help in order to do the right of succession. Hello. But yeah, back to your man. But you have to pay attention to the wording. So the wording of Fanfest was that the Scions are splitting into multiple groups for this entire adventure. However, it's particularly for a right of succession. But you have to pay attention to the word right of succession. So essentially what that means is that the people, or in this case likely the Mamulja, who are vying for the position of Autarch to rule over all Mamulja, it's not like just I claim the throne, it's mine. They have to go through a right of succession. They have to prove themselves in order to be worthy of the throne. So this could be anything from list out your accomplishments in combat. What good deeds have you done for the Mamulja and for the nation of Toral in general? Like, it could be any number of things. And you see this happen in the trailer as well. Prime example, when you see the Mamulja all climbing the rocks here, they're off hunting something. And then you have Estinian behind them who's helping them out. So Estinian then likely killed this gigantic beast, and then they all bring it in with big fanfare. This is likely part of the right of succession. So these Mamulja, or this particular faction of Mamulja, with Estinian's help, went out and killed this giant beast and brought it back to Toral as part of the right of succession, just going, we have proven ourselves. We killed this mighty beast that nobody else could, and we brought it back for everybody. That would have given them big bonus points in the right of succession. So whoever this faction is got a big leg up because they went out and they did this, probably as a proof of valor, for example. Being able to capture or kill one of these legendary or extremely hard to kill beasts. And that luckily they had Estinian, because this thing looks like a hard-shelled creature, which Estinian would have had zero issue with. There's plenty of chaos in Corvos and all. Yeah, I agree with that. But it looks like for the main start of the expansion, it's just us. We're not going out to seek anything world ending. So there is stuff happening, but we're not the ones primarily dealing with it at the moment. But I mainly wanted to list this because you can see everybody celebrating afterwards, just going, alright, this is brilliant. I like all this. And then you have the other Scions who are looking for hints about locations. And this looks like a throne for, as you can see again, a blessed sibling. So it's very similar to the other throne that we saw, but this looks like a statue of some kind. So she's looking into information. Graha's just doing his own thing and eating his taco. And he's going like, yay, you brought us back that stuff. And they're like, oh, okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. Just don't touch me, please. And then you have Thancred doing his usual thing with the map. And that looks like a map of Toral. But he's like, do you know where this is? So it looks like all the Scions are getting involved in this. They're going out to prove or they're out to actually gain honor for the participants in the right of succession. So this is why the Scions are split up. They're both taking specific individuals and actually helping them to gain the right of succession. Which is why all the Scions are here now, And only we, along with Erinville and Alphino, who's hiding in the back of this boat, show up on our own. But in particular, I wanted to pay attention to this as well. My friend actually pointed this out as well, that the voice actor here is pretty different.
At last we have come to the land you call the New World.
Not Erinville.
My home. Dawntrial.
It kind of sounds like him, but it's definitely not him. So I have a feeling the person talking is a Puru Puru, who is one of the new tribal races that are going to be added in Dawntrial. So I might have a picture of one of them here, do I? Or maybe not. I really should have took more screenshots, you know. Puru Puru. No, I don't have a screenshot, unfortunately. But let's see. That could be a rite of succession with killing these beasts to be part of the new combat content they promised, like a revamped hunt. That could be also it as well. They have promised changes to that sort of content as well. But it just goes to show that this entire expansion is going to be based around, or at least the 7.0 aspect, is going to be based around us doing a fairly casual sort of thing. No end of the world thing, but we're helping out a particular people in order to solve the dispute of the right of succession for the throne of the Mamulja people in Toral. But yeah, I think that person at the end is definitely a Puru Puru, because Erinville does not live here. As far as we're aware, his race doesn't reside on Toral. Although Toral itself is very interesting because it's based on South America, as we thought. It's got lots of dirigibles, which I thought was interesting as well. They do look like Ixal dirigibles as well. I should have pictures of them, do you know? Yeah, there's one. Okay. It does look an awful lot like an Ixal dirigible, doesn't it? When you look at it. Music's back on. But I like Ends of the World. I like Ends of the World as well, but we've gone through too many at this point. I want to relax. I want to explore, get back to our roots. Explore... Oreo. Sorry, my dog was growling there. I want to go back to our roots of exploring, having a good time, and just doing normal adventurer sort of things, you know? I mean, we'll have plenty of time to fight later. Oreo, quick. Okay. Sorry, my dog's growling at something out the window. Down. Good. That's it for that. Now, I had something else to share as well. Oh yeah, I wanted to share memes as well, actually. So, if you were watching the live stream of Fanfest, there was a lot of memes getting thrown around about what was happening. So I have a few of them here as well, actually. So I love this meme in particular. That is all everybody was thinking. Can I skip this, please? I want to skip. And they were like, this scene cannot be skipped. That's probably one of my favorite memes from Fanfest. This entire exchange was just so awkward. I mean, you could tell the crowd was having none of it. They were clapping just because they had to clap. Because most of the people in there are probably not Xbox players. I mean, sure, there's a lot of people who play Xbox and PS4, but the people sitting in there either play PC or PS5. So there wasn't as much excitement for Xbox in there because they're all already playing other consoles more than likely. It is good that we're getting an Xbox crossover now, and that it's not segregated, because that would have been a deal breaker. So it is nice, but I just personally found this entire thing hilarious because he probably didn't have a clue exactly what FF14 was. I don't think he has any idea what a Warrior of Light is, so like, he's a very different character from the person next to him. Like, there couldn't be any more difference between him and Yoshi P. Phil is just a very awkward person, in my opinion. My other thing as well, so I suppose I'll talk about the drama that happened during Fanfest as well. This Fanfest, although it successfully went start to finish, it had a ton of speed bumps, for lack of a better word. Let me lower this music because I think this music is too high, or I feel like it's too high. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Fanfest had a series of speed bumps that actually happened during its time. So, for prime example, if I can open the chat back up because I need to read it. It happened the moment people were actually getting through the door. So, they had the day before in order to give everybody their passes. And then people were lining up outside the venue like 5 hours before the venue even opened. And keep in mind, they're in the middle of a freaking desert. So they're lining up outside the building in the desert of Las Vegas. And it was a very warm day apparently. So people were probably getting toasted. So I wouldn't be surprised if people were severely sunburned that day. But where it actually came to a head was this. So you may notice if you were watching the live stream, you saw the stream counting down. So it was like 10 minutes, then it's getting to 5, and then when it counted down fully, nothing happened. Now there's a reason nothing happened. The reason nothing happened is because as soon as the stream counted down to 0, there were people still outside waiting and queuing to get into the building. This is why this meme was born here. So when that stream counted down and Fanfest was supposed to begin, everyone was supposed to be in their seats. But most of the people were still outside. Now the reason for that apparently is because the metal detectors broke. Oreo, good. Go in the window. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, the moment the stream counted down, they were all still out here. And then they waited for a bit, and then they started the trailer. But when they started the trailer and the trailer was actually playing, there were still people outside. So if that was me, I would have been pissed. I would have been so annoyed to have missed the trailer. So it didn't get off to the best start, for lack of a better word. Or lack of a better term, really. It's just, that was just a very bad way to start things. I mean, you can't help that the metal detectors broke. It is what it is. Technology breaks. No technology stays up forever, but it's just the worst timing for metal detectors to break when you're actually trying to get all these people into the building. So they're having to frisk people and check all their bags manually at this point. But yeah, that's the first part of the drama that happened. The drama proceeded to follow throughout the entire amount of the event as well, because apparently people had very negative things to say about the staff of the venue itself that were there. So people said they were very cold. From what people were telling me, they said the staff were very cold. I don't know if anybody here was actually at Fanfest and they probably saw it, but people had a very negative impression about the staff. And keep in mind, these are not Square Enix staff. These are staff usually hired by Square Enix in order to facilitate. They're usually tied to the event or the venue. So it could have been staff from the convention center. Similar with Comic-Con. But yeah, there was a lot of drama from the get-go. This drama spilled into the concert as well. So the orchestra concert, which is at an entirely different venue with different security. But those security apparently were very anal. And they started taking people's water bottles. So I don't have the picture, but somebody showed a picture of a big giant stack of water bottles outside the venue because the security kept taking them. So nobody was able to bring their water bottles in. And again, keep in mind, this is Las Vegas. People are always thirsty. So it was weird. And then you have the memes born of everything that was happening as well. I love this one in particular. This is probably one of my favorite memes regarding the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy 14 with Stormblood now. That's a good meme. I like this meme. But yeah, people had a lot of good things to say about the overall event itself. Like there was loads of things to do. The lottery for the meet and greets with the developers and singers and stuff like that, it was what it was. People didn't get some, people got some. They've done this with other FanFest though, so this is nothing new. I really thought I mean though. Let's see. But the other thing that's happening at the moment is the shirts. So, oh, I've seen that one as well, where he's holding up a picture of Reen. So I saw that somewhere. I just don't know where it is. I really wish I had it. Or actually, this one. I love this one. Let me show you this. Like, people were, as soon as people saw the logo, people were instantaneously going, "That's a Star Destroyer." And someone drew this, and it's just like, that is perfect. Like, that is beyond perfect. Look at it. It's just, it matches. That's probably gotta be one of my favorite pictures. Do I have any more? Well, they were probably in my Discord, but I will show this off as well, actually, because people were having people were constantly throwing theories around regarding what the new melee job was. This is another theory that people had. So, as you know, Yoshi P came out with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt, but people were going by the franchise being created by Peter Laird, and then there's a book, apparently, or Peter Easton, and then there's a book called Captured by the Pirate Laird, and then you have Peter Laird. So people were making connections like that in order to try and go, that's pirate because of this. Like, people go into such elaborate links. Like, I would have never thought of this. So this entirely fascinated me that somebody made this connection. And Peter Easton was a Scottish privateer and later pirate in the early 17th century. But yeah, that's an example as well. Created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. So Peter Easton. And then you have Peter Easton, who was a privateer and later pirate. So that's probably one of the strongest things to say, that I probably would be a pirate. So it's a good thing to think about as well. Now, the other thing is merchandise. If you've seen the list of merchandise for Fanfest NA, they got some great merchandise. I probably have some pictures of it here, or I can probably just go to the NA store. Or actually, I'll just show you the meme. Oh, yeah, where's the meme? So, for example, here's the 2023 part of it here. So, this shows some of the shirts that NA got, and now EU gets this. But you can look at this. Look how much EU gets the short end of the stick. So, for FanFest 2017, Japan got all these goodies. NA got 3. We got 2. These are nice shirts though. I don't like the color. Then you have 2018, 2019. Japan gets loads. NA gets loads. We get 1. That really ticked me off. Then you have the Digital FanFest. They got 2. And then NA gets the same shirt, just in a different color. And we get this. I mean, this is lovely. But I hate white. Like, I don't like wearing white clothing. And then you have 2023 and 2024, where NA gets all these lovely shirts. Like, I really wanted this. I wanted that shirt. But I couldn't justify the price that they wanted me to spend in order to get shipped from NA. And then we finally get our announcements today, and we get this. We get 1 freaking shirt. And the graphic on it really annoys me as well. I mean, I get it. But this is just a prime example of us getting shafted. I mean, NA gets all these good things. Look at them. They're so good. And EU gets this. And Japan is probably going to get 3 or 4 different shirts. I mean, how hard would it have been to just give us this? Well, instead they had to give us this. I mean, I get this. Like, look at the shirts I made, right? So, I actually edited this shirt myself and just cut out the sky. And without the sky, it looks so much better. I mean, look how cleaner that is. Like, I'd buy that if it had it like that, because it blends in. And I can understand the clash on the big bridge. You have London Bridge, you have the Mandeville standing on top of it, and you have Gilgamesh doing his own thing, along with the chicken. NQ, I think his name is. But the shirt has just annoyed a lot of people today. And then, insult to injury, the hoodie is the same thing. So the hoodie is essentially I mean, look how bad it looks. Look at it. It's essentially like, I could go on, if I had that artwork, I could literally go on to a site like Spreadshirt, pick out a hoodie, stick that onto the back of it, and buy it. And you know what? That hoodie would have cost me like €20 and maybe like €10 for shipping. So I would have gotten that hoodie with that graphic. It wouldn't be official, of course, but I could easily get it with that graphic for half the price. Wyrm forking his skills over for video making to shirt bootlegging. Respect the hustle. No, I made them primarily to prove a point. Like, I literally, as soon as I saw these, right, I was halfway through an email when I saw them, and then I'm just like, I'm so pissed off. So I finished my email, then I opened GIMP on my laptop, and I made this in less than 5 minutes. In GIMP. I just literally cut the sky out. That's all I did. But look how much better it is without the sky. But that's the point. It took me all of 5 minutes with an application that is pretty much bootleg freaking Photoshop. Like, and I made it so much better. And with the hoodie is the same thing. The hoodie had that same graphic. I just cut out the sky again. And it looks so much better without the sky. It just blends in a lot more. It's just, I just don't get it. It's like somebody drew it and then they just didn't think about how to put it on merchandise. And worst thing is, this is our only wearable merchandise. These are our only apparels. This t-shirt and this hoodie. And insult to injury, the freaking t-shirt is white. I mean, some people like white t-shirts, sure. But most people who go to Fanfest, you'll see wearing a darker kind of t-shirt. And people prefer darker t-shirts. We always get white for some reason. Like, look at this meme again. All of our t-shirts are light colors. We don't get any dark t-shirts. We've never gotten a black t-shirt. Why? What is the point? And we just get very limited. We get shafted again and again and again. I get that they do custom artwork just for us, like the Tour de Eorzea and not the Tour de France. And then you have the clash on the big London Bridge. But still, I can't help but be pissed off at the fact that we just got shafted again. I don't know if there's going to be a Gilgamesh themed event at EU Fanfest. I hope so. I would like that. But for today, I'm primarily just peeved at the fact that I can't get any of these. But more than likely, some of these shirts are still available. So I'm actually probably going to get them shipped to Canada and then shipped to me. Haven't decided yet. But the fact of the matter is, it could have been so easy for them to just literally take these shirts, change the logo on the back from Las Vegas to London, and then just give us the ability to buy them. It just boggles my mind. I don't know who was thinking about all of this when they did it, but it really pissed off a lot of people. And people have been making tweets and Reddit posts and everything else about this all day, ripping on it. But I'm ripping on it for a specific reason. As I've said, the only reason I'm ripping on it is because it's freaking lazy. Whoever made these is lazy. This is brilliant. Like, the overall artwork is amazing. Like, somebody said, if somebody gave me that artwork and put it in a frame or something, it would be amazing. I'd love that. But for a shirt, it just doesn't work. I mean, let's look at the shirt again, right? Let's look at the actual shirt that we're getting. Like, some people like this shirt. I get that a lot of people like this shirt. But I just can't help but see it as being lazy. Look at it. It just looks like something you'd see on the likes of Esti. That somebody just copy-pasted it. And that's literally what it is. That's all they did. They copy-pasted this onto the shirt and then just released it like that. And now they're going to be printed like that. But that's just so lazy. They could have edited it similar to how I did, and it took me less than 5 minutes to make it look much more engaging. It's just, I just don't get it. I guess I'm just tired of EU getting the short end of the stick. They tend to treat us like we're just some extra region, and it really pisses me off. Like, this is every FanFest at this point. We get the short end. Like, we're just like we're the afterthought almost. And I'm tired of being treated like the afterthought. Like, we got a lot of other merch, sure. Like, we got the statues. And a lot of people in NA have been saying that they're very jealous of the fact that we get the statues. They're €95. I'm not going to buy them. They're a bit too expensive for me. These things are €200. Look at this. €215 for Loperit pajamas. I mean, right, let's forget about the fact that they just recently released a vinyl player with stickers on it and charged well over €1,000 for it. Is this definitely worth €215? It's a pair of pajamas. Unless these freaking pajamas are made out of real cheap, I don't see the value. Like, there'll have to be something very special. Like, I think the only thing I want from the merchandise at the moment is the mask. Although the mask is €47. But the pins are probably what I'll probably end up just buying the pins. Because the pins look really good. Those are the best thing about this thing. In my eyes, the pins. And the scarf. I'll probably end up getting the scarf as well. I'm still on the fence about this because I don't like the graphic. But yeah, that's my rant about that. I said I was going to rant about the merchandise and I ranted about the merchandise. So that's it for that. So let's see. There's not really much else for me to say now that I've had my rant, is there? But yeah, I've gone over the basic plot of what the FanFest is going to be. I can't be the only one though. I was very surprised that they announced that we're getting a new melee. And I didn't even make a melee video. Like, my videos were caster, ranged, tank. And tank was the afterthought, because I thought we were going to get at least a ranged and a caster. I was not expecting 2 melee in a row. But I'm still holding out for the idea that this particular melee is going to be something unique and something that looks like it plays from ranged as well, like the Unyielding Blade. So I am hopeful for that. In terms of the caster now, I think I'm going to have to rework my ideas to see what it would be. I'm still holding out for Time Mage or even Green Mage. A lot of people are still saying Green Mage because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because they're green. Let's not forget, that shirt doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the new melee. Could be easily the new caster. Yeah, melee makes sense to a lot of people, as you say, because of the scouting gear. But it still took a lot of people by surprise. People weren't expecting 2 melee in a row. And we add yet another melee in. But the good thing is that now it's using the scouting gear. So it's not going to take away from the other jobs. Except for ninja, of course. You're not special snowflakes anymore. Sorry. Although we're just going to have to wait a couple of months to find out exactly what this is going to be about. Now, other than the other video that I made recently, I did actually make my first YouTube short. So if you haven't seen that, let's see. Yeah, so I made this little YouTube short, and it took me like about an hour, or not even an hour, because I quickly recorded the audio. I quickly scripted it out, quickly recorded the audio while there was cars. I recorded this during the daytime, and there was cars constantly passing by my house. So I'm recording lines in between the cars passing by. So as soon as the car passed by, I was just like, I said my line, and then another car came, and I just waited. Said my line. Waited. Said my line. I'll probably have to better soundproof my room in order to actually make this sort out. Now, I really enjoyed making this new, an interesting retcon. Although, I'm not really sure why the sound didn't work out. The sound was very low, despite the fact that I recorded it fully, and it sounded perfect on my machine. But the moment I uploaded it to YouTube, it actually got butchered. But I think it probably had something to do with the codec, maybe. So I'll have to look into that again. But I hope to actually make more short videos in the future. Because this one made sense. Just to quickly point out the the issue of the South Sea Isles. So if I go back to the map again, which I have here, that was the other thing as well. This was a complete retcon that people weren't expecting. The fact that now the South Sea Isles are over here. And we were expecting them to be down here. So that was interesting. Interesting good. Still interesting. Although, this part still annoys people. The fact that this is still covered up is really annoying. Although Garland Malt is there. But still. Stupid clouds. But I suppose it is because there's still a lot to cover. And there's stuff that we haven't seen yet. This section will probably be the next one to open, because that's where Corvus is. It's probably a good retcon for the sake of people's migration. Yeah, that's a good point as well, because according to lore, ice bridges opened up when a calamity happened and the sea started to freeze over. So that allowed people to migrate from Eorzea across the ice bridges, even towards Mericidia, and then migrate back. So that's a good thing as well. And they were able to migrate onto Ilsabard as well, over ice bridges. So that is a good point as well. And the Lalafels do come from here, so I'm hoping to see Lalafels again. But essentially that's everything I wanted to go through. This ended up not being as long a stream as I wanted it to be, but I do hope to make more short videos in future, because I really did enjoy making that. Yeah, they all ride around in catamarans as well. So Water World, Catamaran. I hope it's something like that. Like, as much flack as the movie Waterworld gets, I love the catamaran. So I really would love something like that. That would be cool. But I imagine them riding around on very small, kind of small catamarans. So let me look at small catamaran. Yeah, the likes of that, for example. I think that's what they're going to end up looking like. You have a small guy sitting on a catamaran, sailing around the islands. So I think that's what we can expect from the South Sea Isles. But the fact as well that we're going to the South Sea Isles more than likely because of the upcoming Criterion dungeon, or Variant dungeon rather, is good news as well. So is there anything else I wanted to show? Not really. No, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through. There's not really much else I wanted to go over. There we go. I made you unload your memory. I bought the Blu-ray of that for a reason, because I love Waterworld. Like, people love to dunk on Waterworld. It was the biggest failure of its time, sure, but it was the biggest failure ever? Far from it. They made a lot of mistakes, but still, I thought it was a good movie. The previous location did not have much around except Vilebrand and maybe Thanalan. That's a good point as well, yeah. I suppose it does make sense, but it is a good way of saying that they are retconning a lot of things. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about as well. So, Oreo. Sorry, I have to discipline my dog who keeps growling. Come here. Come here. There you go. Sit down. Sit down there. There you go. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to talk about as well is actually discussing this with my friends in the FedEU as well. Specifically about Koji Fox. So it's probably easier for me to bring up the stream itself. So give me a second. Well, not the stream, but was it day one? Yeah. So it was announced in day one. But yeah, see this is the timer I was talking about earlier. When this timer was all ticking down, people were still queued up outside. Then the timer stopped, and then it sat like this for ages. It sat like that for about 5 minutes. And then they said, you know what, we have to start the stream. And there you go. Then we got the trailer. But the main thing I want to point out is, yeah, the opening ceremony. So, all the staff came out and everybody was getting announced. Let's see. God. Yeah, so you have Koji Fox getting announced. He's announcing himself there.
He's lead. I'm localization supervisor. Eh?
I didn't understand this at first. That all of a sudden that he's not the localization lead anymore. He's the localization supervisor. And I was talking to my friends about it, just going, exactly what is his role in FF14 now? Because he was the main guy for localization beforehand. And now Kate is the one taking over the main localization of FF14. But it was actually explained in day 2 of Fanfest exactly what his new role meant. So he was the localization lead for FF14, and then Yoshi P approached him about Final Fantasy 16. So Koji Fox essentially, well, he didn't leave his role for 14, but he took a back seat in the localization to primarily focus on being the localization director for Final Fantasy 16, which was created by Business Unit 3, which also creates 14. So Kate took the stage then at that point to be the localization lead, essentially. But it also means that Koji is not taking the lead of 14 now that 16 is over and done with. It looks like he's doing more of an advisory role, really. So he does it like he'll give advice to the other teams working on 14, but it looks like he primarily works on the other projects that the teams are working on, particularly 16. So he wasn't doing most of the panels that were happening on stage. That was up to Kate, and he was wandering around Fanfest apparently. So if anybody was at Fanfest, they saw him. But this was confusing me as well, because I didn't really understand what it all meant until I put all the pieces together with my friends to find out exactly what it was. Because this is stuff that happened in the background. We didn't really hear about this happening. I mean, we knew that it was in the same business unit, and Michael Christopher Koji Fox was the localization director for Final Fantasy 16. He's credited for that as well. But seeing him take a back seat to Kate now just shows that the torch has been passed in terms of Final Fantasy 14. But just 14. But I think it was mainly the supervisor role that threw people off. Like, so you have Kate saying, I'm the localization lead, and then you'd have Koji saying, I'm a localization supervisor, which almost sounded like a demotion in a lot of ways. So people were a bit confused about what was going on, until we finally understood that he's taking more of a back seat in 14, and he's focusing on the other projects that Creative Business Unit 3 is now focused on. And that made sense to me, to be honest. Like, he spent the last few years, more than likely, primarily focusing on Final Fantasy 16, and Kate took over the reins to focus on 14. And the torch was passed with Ishikawa. Exactly. The torch has been passed in a lot of the different departments in Final Fantasy 14. A new regime is rising up. Like, for example, the torch was passed from Nobu to Soken in Final Fantasy 14 as well. That's probably one of the more publicized ones. But Koji's passing of the torch was less pronounced, because there was no whiff of this until Fanfest happened, and we realized it actually happened. Because until that point, we thought that Koji was working across 14 and 16. But it looks like he was primarily working on 16 and working in an advisory role instead for 14, with Kate being the lead. And it looks like that's going to be the status quo going forward now, that he's still going to be in the advisory role. Because, yeah, 16's out now, but more than likely it has expansions coming as well. So he's probably working on those as well. But in all likelihood, Creative Business Unit 3 will get another IP to work with. So once 16 is over and done with, they'll probably end up working on another project. And who knows what that'll be. But yeah, I thought I wanted to mention that because I was a little confused until I actually did the theory craft on it.
In between physical Fanfest is way too long. I'm really excited to be back in Vegas to reconnect with a lot of old friends as well as make a lot of new friends.
I thought the Koji Kate was showcasing the Shadowbringer era live letter. If it was, I don't remember. But then again, there has been 78 live letters. So if it happened, I don't remember it at all. It's like Dawntrial is a new beginning. Exactly, Darkness. It is a new... Well, it's like our Realm Reborn all over again. We're going on an adventure. We're doing what adventures do best, as I said. But essentially, that's everything I wanted to go through. I wanted to finish off with that because I thought it was interesting. But you have this sort of regime change all over the place as well. What do I say about him?
Here and also the...
So, if you don't recognize this individual, this is Takeshi Kiryu, who is the new president and CEO of Square Enix, and self-proclaimed lover of NFTs. This guy, a lot of people don't like primarily because he is pushing NFTs very heavily in Square Enix. And people are still terrified he's going to bring NFTs to FF14 and all. I think Yoshi P's already gone on record saying we're not going to bring it. They've tried. They were hinting at it and then they turned around once people just go, no, we don't want it. So people still regard him very... They're not giving him a lot of praise, primarily because of what he represents, which is NFTs, which a lot of people don't agree with. People did not make a great deal about Kate. In fact, I only see her mentioned when English localization fumbles the bag. Which they do a lot. Like, they have done that in the last few years. They have fumbled the bag a lot. Although it's been primarily the French localization that have dropped the ball, essentially. Kiryu is a trend chaser. I hope he realizes the NFT trend is a dying one and changes course quickly. I hope so too. But for the time being, this is a very young and ambitious personality in Japanese culture. Like, he's fairly young for being a president and CEO. I don't know how old he is, but he looks very young. But yeah, he has a lot of ideas that go against what we feel this game essentially needs. So yeah, he's not well liked in our community, is he? But it is what it is. Look, I want that shirt, and we didn't get that shirt. The only reason I didn't buy that shirt is because I thought an EU would get it, and we didn't. I will say Matt has lost a lot of weight. I was surprised when I saw him. He's lost a lot of weight. Like, I almost didn't recognize him as soon as he walked on stage. I was like, holy crap, Matt. You have changed a lot. So, I'm glad to see he's doing a lot better. But yeah, that's essentially everything I wanted to do. For all his flaws, I do like his energy. I guess. If he has energy and it's channeled in the right direction. See, energy can be a bad thing when it's not channeled in the right direction. Alright, my dog's getting frustrated as well. So I think I'm going to finish off there. So that's essentially everything I wanted to talk about. In terms of my next videos coming up, I actually don't know what my next video is going to be. I've been thinking about... I have some ideas about what they're going to be. Matt has been in FF14. I think he joined sometimes before Shadowbringers, if I recall correctly. Because I remember in 2.0 we had a completely different community lead. I think it was Stormblood. Don't quote me on that though. Because they tend to take a back seat a lot. They don't show themselves as much as they should. It's mainly at Fanfest we see them. But he definitely was there. Was he there at the last Fanfest? I think he was. And the one before it. 2019. So yeah, I think it was sometime during Stormblood when he joined. But I'll have to look that up. But yeah, regarding the future, I don't have a set idea what my next video is going to be, but I wanted to make it something specific. Although, as I said, without a proper idea of what it's going to be, I can't really make it. Although, I think I'm going to focus on a topic that everybody can get behind. So, a topic regarding Dawntrial, maybe. Or to finish off Endwalker, essentially. Because with Endwalker coming to an end, I'd like to finish off some topics regarding Endwalker. This map's gonna have to be updated as well. Look, the South Sea Isles are not there either. Look, so I'd imagine this is gonna change as well. Or they're gonna stick a picture of the South Sea Isles up there. Or maybe with the new variant dungeon and us taking a boat over to some island, it's possible that's how we discovered that the South Sea Isles are there. Although, to be fair, a lot of ships tend to sail down here in order to get to Kugane. So it would have made a lot of sense that the islands would have been contacted at some point. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to go through with this video. So I'll let everybody go to enjoy their Fridays. I'm going to relax as much as I can. But I appreciate everybody joining me tonight, and I wish you all the best. And yeah, please look forward to my next video, and more than likely I'll probably release another short sometime next week once I figure out what I want to make shorts about, because people have had good reactions to the short I made. So if I make little short lore videos regarding topics that don't warrant a giant video, for example, that might be something I'll probably end up doing. But anyway, I wish you all the best of luck and have a good one.